Hey guys, John here today. Now I want to do a tutorial on the different kind of metals that you can use for chainmail and jewelry and whatnot. But with so much information to cover, I went ahead and made an outline and put it on my computer so I could cover everything I wanted to. So if you see me glancing over the computer screen every once in a while, that's what I'm doing. But okay, so let's get to it. Galvanized steel. Galvanized steel is really strong and it's really cheap, which makes it perfect for armor and for like if you want to practice new weaves that you learn and stuff like that before you actually try on something more expensive. It is, however, very ugly. So yeah, like if you look at this, this is what galvanized steel looks like when it oxidizes. Because galvanized steel is actually mild steel, which is a simple carbon steel like what they used in the Middle Ages, but it's been covered with a zinc layer to protect it against rust. The zinc on the outside is called a sacrificial layer because what it does is it combines with the oxygen in the air to form zinc oxide, which protects the steel from rust, but it also makes it very ugly and gray like this. But if you polish it, it will wind up looking actually kind of shiny, like a shiny gray. And the best way I've found to polish galvanized steel is to put it in your pocket for a week or two and let it rub against itself, and then eventually it'll be shiny and gray and not so ugly looking. One thing though, so it's not really good for jewelry because it looks so bad and it smells bad when it gets wet, but one thing I want to address is a lot of people think that galvanized steel is toxic, but that's not the case. It's only toxic if you try and weld galvanized steel, because if you burn the zinc on the outside, it creates a white smoke that is actually very toxic. So welding galvanized steel is never a good idea. Stainless steel. Stainless steel is just as strong and just as heavy as galvanized steel, but galvanized steel is just plain old, mild steel which rusts, covered in zinc. Stainless steel is actually steel that's been combined with different alloys. It's iron combined with different alloys to give it a stainless property, which makes it so it doesn't rust under normal conditions. Stainless steel will rust if you leave it in water for a long period of time, like say a couple of weeks. But under normal conditions, like stainless steel dishes and stuff, like forks and spoons, you put that in the dishwasher, it's exposed to water and chemicals, but it doesn't rust, which is good. Stainless steel is a little more expensive, but it's ideal for those people who want to make ornamental pieces like armor that you want to hang on the wall, because it won't rust, you won't have to maintain it. For people who actually want the authentic look, like rusted look, they should get mild steel or ungalvanized fencing wire, baling wires sometimes like that. Stainless steel is good for jewelry at smaller gauges, especially because its strength helps with certain weaves that require a really large aspect ratio. So the rings wouldn't be very strong if they were made of silver or gold, but they would be perfect if they were made of stainless steel. Titanium. Titanium is really strong, and it's half the weight of steel, so it's pretty good for armor because it's so light and strong. But it's relatively expensive when compared to steel. It work hardens really fast though, so it's not for beginners. So if you make armor out of it and you have to go back and fix something, if you bend a ring back and forth too many times, it'll actually snap. So you have to be careful about that, because work hardening is when metal bends over and over and over and over again. The more it bends, the harder it becomes, but the more brittle it becomes. And if it's brittler, it can snap under too much stress. So you have to be careful with that. Titanium can also be anodized to be different kind of colors. They put the metal into an acid bath and run an electric current through it to heat it up. You can actually do this with a blowtorch too. You can just torch the metal to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time and it'll change the color of the metal. It doesn't rust like steel does, and its color is similar to galvanized steel. It's like a light grayish color, kind of like you can see from my wedding ring. Kind of a similar color. Aluminum. Aluminum is a third of the weight of steel, so it's really light. So it makes it perfect for jewelry or for costume chainmail, because regular chainmail is really, really heavy. But aluminum chainmail is really weak, really light. It's weaker than steel, but it's cheaper than stainless steel. So it's cheaper than stainless because of its weight. If it weighs a third the weight of steel, usually when you buy wire online, it's sold by the pound. And so if you buy a pound of steel, you could buy 3 pounds of aluminum, you know, for that price. It's shiny like stainless steel, but it will turn your skin black if it hasn't been chemically treated in one of 3 ways to make it clean. One way is to make etched aluminum, which is clean and it's kind of shiny, but it doesn't look very good, I don't think, anyway, because it's got like lines all over it. Bright aluminum is preferred because it's shiny like stainless steel, but it doesn't, it's actually shinier than stainless steel. It's almost as shiny as silver, and it won't turn your skin black unless you wear it for a really long time, but usually it won't do that. Another way of doing it is anodizing it. Anodized aluminum is chemically treated just like titanium, and you can get different colors and stuff, and it's actually slightly harder than regular aluminum because the outside anodized layer is slightly harder than the aluminum inside of it, but it will scratch off if you're using pliers with teeth in them. Copper. Copper is cheaper than a lot of, you know, other metals, and it's got a nice orange color to it that a lot of people like because it looks like a penny, and it's a different color than what, you know, other stuff is. You know, copper is just a unique color. It's not very strong normally, but it can be tempered to be as hard as steel. So it can be made into armor if you get the right wire. The color will fade if not cleaned and polished often, but some people like the darker brown color it develops, you know, like an old penny. It will corrode to turn green after a long time, kind of like the Statue of Liberty. You think about that color green, that light green. And it'll also turn your skin green every day if you're dehydrated or if you're copper deficient. But some people don't even have that problem. Some people, their skin doesn't turn green if exposed to it. But mine turns green after about a day. But it washes off in just plain old water. So if you wash your hands regularly, just sort of venture up to your wrist for a few seconds, and it's not that hard to wash off. Really, people who don't want copper because of the skin color thing, it's not that big of a deal. The only real reason not to get copper is because you have to clean it a lot in order to keep it to look bright orange like this. You have to get a chemical cleaner to keep it from tarnishing the way it does. And now I'm going to show you a video on how to clean stuff using Tarnex. So take a little glass of this Tarnex stuff and take the article that you are going to clean, such as this copper bracelet. You can see how it looks right now. It's kind of a dull grayish color. Drop it into the Tarnex. And wait about a minute or so. You can see it sort of bubbling right now because it's reacting with the oxidation. You just have to leave it in there for a minute or so. Maybe agitate it a little bit with I'm using a toothbrush, but just sort of move it around in there a little bit. And once it's been in there for a little while, what I do is I take it, rinse it out like that, rinse it off completely, and there you go. Shiny, bright, orange copper. If the camera would just focus. There